The Tesla Model 3 versus the most popular EV competition. Let's see exactly what your money gets you and break down the competition. Which one reigns supreme? We're going to break down 4 of the key factors when you're thinking about a Tesla Model 3 versus the competition, the main points that you might be considering. Number 1, having everything to do with the cost. So I'm going to compare the vehicle that I have, Tesla's Model 3 rear-wheel drive, with some of the most popular alternative EVs. And number 1, the Tesla Model 3 versus the Ioniq 5. So we're going to compare the base models of a lot of these vehicles, and while the size of these cars may differ, they're very similar in that these all will have rear-wheel drive. We're going to compare the 0 to 60 and of course the price. So with point number 1, the price. The Ioniq 5 currently has lease options as low as $539, whereas the Model 3, you can lease it down to $349. The reason I'm comparing these cars, they all have rear-wheel drive. They're all the base model of these vehicles. So let's look at the other vehicles from this top 10 most popular list. The Kia EV6, currently lease options at $640, and you can finance one for $866 a month. The base model that I have, the rear-wheel drive, will cost you $655 if you choose to own through financing. So another really popular vehicle that I wanted to include, just to give some size comparison, some of those vehicles were small SUVs. The Polestar 2, new coming to the United States, is comparable to the Model 3 in size, and that'll run you $469 a month. But why are we doing this? We are doing this because I wanted to show you how much it costs just to get into these vehicles as far as a starting price range. But point number 2, let's go over what your money gets you in point number 2, the performance. So the Model 3 versus the competition. We talked about some of those entry-level prices. How much is it going to cost to just get into these vehicles? So here's what you're going to get for those numbers. Let's compare the Model 3 versus some of the stiffest competition. First, the Ioniq 5. The Ioniq 5 has 225 horsepower. Again, it is rear-wheel drive. And just to give some perspective on quote-unquote performance, let's go over those 0 to 60 times with the Ioniq 5 rear-wheel drive coming in at 5.2 seconds. Next, the Polestar, the rear-wheel drive, gives you 231 horsepower, again, rear-wheel drive, and the Polestar 2 has a 0 to 60 in 7.0. The Ioniq 6 matches the Model 3 for horsepower in the rear-wheel drive model with 225 horsepower, comes in at a 0 to 60 of 7.2. And finally, like we mentioned, horsepower in the Model 3 is 225. The rear-wheel drive in that 0 to 60 will be 5.8. So you know how much it's going to cost you to lease some of these vehicles and to finance some of these cars as well, and the performance that you're going to get with all of these models. But as far as competition goes, I'm not quite convinced yet. Who reigns supreme? Well, let's get into point number 3, and that has everything to do with additional discounts through the EV tax credit. This is a critical week for the EV tax credit, where some EV purchases in 2023 and even in 2024 are going to get up to $7,500 in a tax credit or a point of sale discount. Well, why is this important for some of the most competitive EV vehicles? What this means is previous vehicles that were expected to get $7,500 that you could take advantage of if you qualify for that EV tax credit, well, now some of those same vehicles may get half as much back to you in that credit. The only way to know is to subscribe. This is a crucial week, but let's go into who qualifies and who doesn't. So currently on the IRS website, again, we looked at Kia, and currently it does say the manufacturer has entered into a written agreement, but has not given a list of qualifying vehicles yet. Let's move on to Polestar. Polestar, same thing. Manufacturer has entered into agreement and has not submitted a list of specific makes and models. Well, surely Tesla is included under here. Let's check out Tesla's list. All the cars qualify, every single Model 3 and Model Y. Well, as far as, well, which one reigns supreme? Is the Model 3 the smartest purchase based on the value and the performance and what you're going to get back in this EV tax credit? Well, again, this may change, but right now it does look like Tesla is the only one so far that qualifies for that full EV tax credit. And let's look at Hyundai. The only monocle is the Genesis electrified GV70, so that Ioniq 5 is not on this list either. Now, there has been some rules about battery minerals and components having to be sourced here in North America or with countries that the United States has a free trade agreement with. So some of these overseas companies may not qualify again unless the rules change this week. The final verdict on whether or not the Model 3 reigns champion over the most competitive competition comes after point number 4, and that has everything to do with the wait times. Tesla is at a huge disadvantage when it comes to wait times, and it's something I've talked about in other videos. The worst part about owning a Tesla, I'll say it now and I'll say it time and time again, is waiting for your car to get delivered. But what does that look like compared to the other dealerships? Current wait times are same month up to maybe 3 months to get your Tesla. So you could place an order and wait that long just to receive your car versus other vehicles that you can see here. The vehicles we talked about are available today. If I go to a dealership here in my area of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, now the downside to that is you're gonna have to deal with salespeople and managers and financing and all of that in-house and haggle over price just to get the car you want. Are you willing to get a car same day and deal with all of that? Or do you want to wait maybe a month to 3 months for your Tesla and have a no-touch delivery and very clear pricing for what you're going to get in the Model 3? Let me know in the comment section below. So we're going to give the cost to the Model 3 a much lower lease payment and better financing rates than I've seen at dealerships. Point number 2, Tesla is the only one that fully qualifies for that full EV tax credit. Again, subscribe. That may change and is very likely to change, so stick around for that. Performance, something we didn't even talk about, were the superchargers and the reliability of the Tesla charging network. That mixed with a very impressive 0 to 60 and an extremely efficient battery. I give that one to the Model 3 as well. And finally, wait times. Here I would say Tesla loses. If you do want a car immediately, then you have no option aside from maybe current inventory of Tesla. You can go on the Tesla website and find current inventory near you, but you are limited as you are with dealerships. But if you do find something that you like on a dealership's website, there seems to be more selection than what I've seen on the current inventory on the Tesla website. So that check mark would go to the other dealerships. So the final verdict, the Model 3 absolutely remains champion. If you look at all the sales numbers Tesla has been putting up, what you're getting for the price and so much more, you have to give it to the Model 3 and every other Tesla like the Model Y. They are truly popular for a reason. So make sure to stick around for those EV tax credit updates by subscribing. And if you are thinking about a Tesla, consider purchasing your best accessories for your Tesla down in the video links below. It does support the channel. And the only way I know that you enjoyed this video is to drop a like. Again, this is Matt from Frunk to Trunk. We will see you in the next video.